Hey guys, good morning. Come on in. I'm Kevin Steele. This is 1813 News. We're in southwestern Hardin County, out kind of near Sour Lake. I want you to jump on in here. Come on in. Going to be an interesting couple of minutes because I'm fascinated with this new training, a training way, way beyond just the downrange shooting. Of course, we have some fundamentals we have to go through and all of that. My great friend Derek Poe here, look at there.
Right.
There's my man. And we are out here in a safe field and preparing to talk about this training here that I think you're going to love. It's at the Copper Bullet Lodge, coming up on the 19th. I think you'll want to see it. Again, it's way light years beyond, what you get when you just go to the gun range, blink off a few rounds. Blinking is great, get you familiar with your firearm, get you familiar with your weapon and with your ammo. But in a real world situation, there's a whole lot more to learn. And Derek Poe say to this than I could ever think of doing. So, Mr. Poe, how are you, sir?
Yes, sir. Doing good.
Good to see you, buddy. We're going to pull off a few rounds here.
Yep.
There is a reason for the space you've got here. What's this all about?
We're right now at distance. We've learned, from the past 3 decades that 86% of all gunfights happen between 9 and 15 feet. So right now we kind of split the difference and got us marked out at 13. Past 15, you're usually getting a 5% margin, which is probability not going to happen.
And so this is kind of customary for what's going to happen if you're coming out of a convenience store.
Yes, most likely. This is the most likely spot you're going to happen. And, yeah, it does happen. Gunfights in the U.S. happen at gas stations for some reason all the time.
Yeah. Convenience stores, gas stations, all that stuff. Come on in, friends. Hey, Angie, thanks for being here. Appreciate you very much. Look, guys, there's a lot to be learned. And I grew up shooting, quail hunting, shooting back on the farm in North Missouri, and I guarantee you, just having talked with Derek for the past couple of hours, there is a lot to learn about actual home defense. You want to be able to not just have the 9mm in your house, but be able to realize a real confidence from having not only the weapon in the house, but to know how to use it and how to handle your physiological and emotional kind of makeup in that moment when you really need to use the weapon. The weapon in this case is what, the Glock?
And we're running a Glock 19X, which is a 9mm.
Okay. All right, let's see what we're going to use, and let's pull off a couple of rounds here at the distance we want to be at. This is kind of a part of your training, right?
Yeah, this is one of the steps. This is a drill rerun called the balance of speed and precision. And the idea behind it, as you can see, I got my sights taped up. A lot of people say you shouldn't shoot with you should use your sights rather. But in most defensive shootings at 9 to 15 feet, you don't necessarily need to. And most people don't use their sights. They get bug-eyed and fixate on their target because their cortisol levels are up, their adrenaline's up. But I'm not locked into the grouping that says you should never use your sights. It's you use your sights when you need to, right? Not necessarily when can you use your sights. You can always use your sights. It's when you need to. And a part of this course is when to use your sights. 9 to 15 feet, most of the time you need to use your sights. But when precision is a factor, you need to use them, right? And the balance of speed and precision is like that, say. Here, let me show you on this. Think of it in terms of, okay, you have speed and you have precision. Can you see my
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, now say you only have, let's say, 10 points, right, that you can put in each one of them. So at 9 to 15 feet, you can have speed. You put 8 points in the speed. That leaves you with 2 points in the precision, right? Now, maybe past 15 feet, or maybe you need to take a more precise shot, maybe a headshot. Maybe there's a crowd in there. You want to pump off the gas and go more into precision and less into speed, right? So you go 8 in the precision and a 2 in the speed. Now, this is subjective, obviously. My speed is going to be different than your speed.
Yeah.
And so forth. But this is just kind of a representation of the balance of speed and precision.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's see what you do.
All right, and usually the first thing we'll have someone do, we'll come out and we'll make sure everyone has a good grip, great stance. We go into, an hour-long PowerPoint discussion on the anatomy of a gunfight, what's your body's natural reaction, and then we'll tape up their sight. As you can see, my rear sight on my Glock is taped up.
Uh-huh.
And we'll have them get target focused after we worked out the mechanics and made sure everything's good. And I'll tell them, okay, give me a shot in the high center chest. All right? High center chest. Okay, give me one more. I'll say up. Give me another one. All right? As you can see, without looking at my sights, I'm fairly accurate. I can hit the high center chest. Right? Yeah. And then we come in, and then we'll start going into using our sights, right? You want that sight, you want the equal height and equal light when you're T-posting with the sight or filling the bucket.
Wow.
Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yeah, it does. And I can't believe it makes sense to a guy like me. It's been a minute since I've been shooting. Of those 11,000 critical incidents that you've been involved, that you've studied at the Center of those 11,000, how often is it the guy responds in the same way at the gun range as he does if he has your training?
Very rarely. And with that said, the 11,000 dynamic critical incidents, so of course the past 3 decades, the late 90s and 2000s, we're able to gather a lot of data based on police body cam, dash cam, CCTV, and learn that what's happening in a police academy, what's happening in a range, isn't happening in the real world. It's not showing. What's happening in the dojo isn't happening in a fight ring, so to speak.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because, we know that's not going to shoot back. In the real world, you're going through physiological responses. Your cortisol level is up. Your adrenaline is through the roof. You go through certain things like time dilation, auditory exclusion. You have tunnel vision.
You said oftentimes people actually, when it really counts, when it really matters, they'll end up pulling out that gun, and then they're what? Looking at the gun?
No, generally not often. Most of the time, people are target fixated. Like in the data we've learned too, that professionals are only 10% more accurate than amateurs, and that blows people's minds. How can the police officer only 10% more accurate than me, who never shoots? Well, 9 to 15 feet. You see, it didn't take much. My sights are taped up, right? Anyone could do this. I've had people who've never shot before come out and do this drill. They hit the high center chest every time. But yeah, certain things like we're going into, like what me and you discussed earlier, a lot of police academies tell the officers to bring it into their workspace. And the idea of workspace is, okay, I shoot my firearm and it goes into slide lock. I'm empty. So I want to bring my firearm into my workspace so I can see the gun and see the threat. It makes sense, right? It makes sense in the real world. But the issue with that is when your body goes into time dilation, it's essentially your amygdala, your lower brain is trying to process so much information at once, where the perception of time feels like it's going slower than what it actually is. Like when people get in a fist fight, a car wreck, or a shooting, some man felt like it lasted for hours. When actuality only lasted for a couple of seconds. So me bringing in and getting sucked into and looking at my firearm, now it's like, oh crap, I'm going a lot slower than what I need to. And I start rushing, and there's footage of cops throwing mags. There's one of a cop actually trying to shove his magazine in his mag well backwards. But we know we could do everything. You have spatial awareness, right? Your hands can find your hands. You could touch your ear without looking at it. And you're going to be probably bug-eyed fixated on your target anyway. You don't need to look at your gun. And the visual acuity of the eye is you're either focused on something near or far. You can't focus on both at once.
Well, when does this happen? Your training comes up on the 19th.
It comes up on the 19th.
And tell us some of the details of the training.
It comes up on the 19th at the Copper Bullet Lodge.
It's Buna, right?
In Buna. We'll have the address on our website. And
oh man, that's a trip, man. This is a trippy thing, man. Look at what he did here, man. And that's how you really protect your home. And that's the key thing. It's an event. Yeah.
And with this, a lot of people there's something called defensive accuracy and there's your target shooting accuracy, right? Defensive accuracy is a yes or no question. Some targets have like 100 points in the middle, and these are all equal. So if you have somebody come out that's a hell of a good shooter and he's shooting small groupings like this, that tells me, hey, you need to speed it up, right? So we want a nice dispersed grouping like that. If he starts getting groupings like this, at that point, hey man, maybe you need to slow it down a little bit.
Oh man, it's amazing. We'll have links on this post later so that you can get more information on the training on the 19th of February at the Copper Bullet Lodge in Buna. Thanks so much for your time, buddy.
Sir.
Man, I appreciate it. It's amazing, this training. We'll have more later. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll talk to you soon.